Welcome to the Ohio State Legal Services Association's Family Law Video Project. This video was made possible through the generous support of the Ohio Legal Assistance Foundation, and the content was created by Southeastern Ohio Legal Services and the Legal Aid Society of Columbus. The video you are about to watch will guide you through some of the forms that you will need to file in Ohio courts when you want a divorce or you need to respond to a divorce your husband or wife filed. The information we provide is not legal advice and does not create a lawyer-client relationship with you. We cannot guarantee any specific outcome in your case, and we are not responsible for any errors on your form. You should hire a lawyer if you can afford one, especially if your divorce case is complicated. This may mean that you and your spouse do not agree on custody of your children, you own real estate, you have a lot of property to divide, you or your spouse have retirement accounts, your spouse hired a lawyer, or if one spouse has a much higher income than the other spouse. If you need a lawyer or specific advice about your case, you have several options. If you are low income, you can contact your local legal aid program. If you need information about which legal aid covers your community, call the following number. Many communities also have pro bono clinics where low-income people can talk to a volunteer lawyer. Your local legal aid program will have a list of clinics near you. Finally, if you can afford a lawyer, you should reach out to your local bar association for a lawyer referral. The forms you will be completing can all be found online on the Ohio Supreme Court website here. The forms available online may be completed in Microsoft Word or PDF form on a computer. If you are not able to complete them on a computer, you can handwrite the forms. Be sure to print as clearly as possible and always use a pen. Some courts require you to use a pen with blue ink or black ink, so you may want to check with your local clerk of courts on ink requirements before you fill out the forms. Note that just because the Supreme Court is providing these forms, you will be filing them in your local courts, not the Supreme Court. This is not the only form you will need to complete. At the end of this video, you will see a list of forms that you will need to fill out if you are filing a divorce or if you are responding to a divorce complaint. If you complete and file the Supreme Court forms listed, that should be enough to get your divorce case started or respond to a divorce complaint. However, your local court may require you to also complete additional forms. Keep in mind that you might be watching each video more than once, as sometimes you will need to gather additional information that you don't have on hand during the first attempt.
This video will cover how to complete a health insurance affidavit. In a divorce case, both the plaintiff and defendant should file this affidavit if children are involved. At the top of the first page, you should see the phrase, "In the Court of Common Pleas." On the next line, write in the name of the county where your divorce complaint is being filed. Next, you should fill in the names of the plaintiff and the defendant. Directly below the court name and county, and to the right, write the case number on the line that starts case number. Use the case number on the complaint. If there is a judge's name or a magistrate's name listed on the complaint, write those names on the lines under the case number. If the judge and magistrate's names are not listed on the complaint, it is okay to leave these lines blank. Write your name next to Affidavit of. Fill in your name and your spouse's name on the lines provided. Next, check the appropriate yes or no boxes for each of the questions asked about your family's health insurance coverage. You should try to answer the questions about your spouse's health insurance coverage too. Your answers to the questions in this affidavit are important because they will help the court make orders about health insurance for your children. You should do your best to answer all of the questions if you understand what is being asked. Remember that this is an affidavit, which means that you will be asked to sign an oath at the end of the document swearing that your answers are true to the best of your knowledge. If you do not understand the question, you should talk to an attorney before filing this affidavit. Review the information at the beginning of this video on how to find a lawyer or legal clinic. At the top of the second page, you should again write your name and your spouse's name. The first two questions ask about the annual cost for health insurance covering you and your children, or just you alone. Remember that you only need to answer these questions for you or your spouse if there is insurance available through an employer or another organization. If you have insurance available through your employer, you need to work with your employer to figure out the annual cost of coverage for a plan covering you and your children, but not your spouse, and for a plan covering you alone. If you know these costs for your spouse, you can fill them in too. If you know there is a cost for your spouse but do not know the amount, you can write cost unknown. Your spouse should also file this affidavit and should have more specific information on their annual costs for health insurance. Finally, fill in the information asked for on the form about the group that provides health insurance for you or your spouse. At the end of the form, there is a section with the title Oath. You must sign this document in front of a notary. Print your name on the first line. While a notary is watching you sign the line above your signature. The lines in this section beginning with sworn before are for the notary to complete. You can find a notary at most banks. If it's your bank, they will usually notarize documents for free. The clerk of courts will not notarize your documents for you.
You have reached the end of this video. Remember that if you still have questions about how to fill out the forms for your specific situation, you should talk to a lawyer. If you need a lawyer or specific advice about your case, you have several options. If you are low income, you can contact your local legal aid program. If you need information about which legal aid covers your community, call the following number. Many communities also have pro bono clinics where low-income people can talk to a volunteer lawyer. Your local legal aid program will have a list of clinics near you. Finally, if you can afford a lawyer, you should reach out to your local bar association for a lawyer referral. Remember that this is not the only form you will need. Here is a list of the forms you will need if you are filing a divorce or if you are defending or responding to a divorce. If you complete your forms and wait a period of time before you file the forms, it is your responsibility to check the Supreme Court website to make sure that there were no changes to the forms since you first completed them.